are finally here. I'm here with my good friend, Connie Yoshimura. She owns the brokerage firm of Berkshire Hathaway, Alaska Services. Whatever the Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Alaska Realty. And Lottie and I have known one another for decades. And we have finally, over the past 5 years, joined forces. Lottie manages the commercial division of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. I'm the broker owner, and I specialize in residential sales and land development. Lottie, I want you to tell us how you got to real estate. Okay. I started at age 18. I was too young to take the exam. I needed to figure out how to make money and support myself, and I've always been good at sales. So I took the course. It was, I don't know, a year's worth of school or whatever, and took the exam. Too young to file for the license, but I got the exam underway. I got the required education under the way. And then when I was 19, I got my license. Started, like most people, in residential. I come from a family of residential development and brokerage. My mother was very active in the real estate market in Alaska. Owned my own brokerage firm for a couple of years. Went through a divorce, needed a change. Moved my 2 high school sons and I to a city where I didn't know anyone. Give myself a little test to see if I was any good at what I do. Turns out I am. Went to the San Francisco Bay Area, practiced with Grubb & Ellis for years. After, I think about the 3rd year, I was the 4th or 5th within that network for volume. And that's just mainly a work ethic. And I love what I do. And you love Alaska. And I love Alaska. Moved back 35 or 40 years ago after the stint in the Bay Area. And I've been here ever since, doing a lot of brokerage, doing a lot of investing personally, and all in the commercial real estate sector. You had some advice previously in another podcast about for someone who wanted to invest in real estate. Would you share that information with us again? Because I thought it was really very important. Sure. Not exactly sure what I said, but what I would say if someone came to me and said they wanted to begin a real estate investment portfolio, I would ask what type of real estate do they have a passion for? Is it retail? Is it industrial? Multifamily? Whatever you connect with, I would zoom in on that. And then I would find good people. I would surround myself with good people, good engineers, good attorneys, good CPAs to help me build my portfolio. You know, that reminds me, I was having lunch many, many years ago with someone who said, I want to take you to lunch and give you some advice. Well, I thought he was going to want to date me. I was really not very interested in that because that was when I was quite a bit younger. And but what he said is, Connie, I'm going to give you some advice. And he said, I'm going to give you the name of a good lawyer and a good CPA. Well, I was greatly relieved. Yeah, it was not a personal referral. And I remember that because I do have a good lawyer and I do have a good CPA. And I would add to that as a residential land developer to have a good planner and engineer as well. So the people that you surround yourself with are very important. Yes, very, very important. So I want to thank you for us being together. Every Sunday, we go for a walk in downtown Anchorage, and we talk real estate. Yeah. And I know that you grew up on a street in downtown Anchorage. Right. I grew up on the corner of 6th and K Street. It's right in the middle of the business district now. Back then, not so much. I learned how to ride my bicycle the day they paved K Street down. So, yeah, I've been here a while, and I feel like this is my town and my state, and I care what happens to it. And I kind of pride myself in knowing what's going on in the state. I don't know a whole lot about anything except real estate. When it comes to real estate, I know real estate.
Well, I feel that very same way about residential real estate and about residential land development. But you do know something about something else because you are a very good bridge player. Oh yeah, because we play bridge. So that's one of our passions other than real estate, or it's our recreation.
Right.
It's our, when playing bridge is sort of like learning how to fly. It's very intense in that you have to pay attention. And it's the same way about learning how to fly, because you have to pay attention. And I did get about real estate. Right. Forget about real estate. If it's only for 5 minutes or 2 or 3 hours.
You couldn't think about anything. I couldn't think about anything except flying when I was flying.
You know, a lot of people fly because Alaska is such a big state. I never soloed. I got too scared. Did you solo?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I soloed. I had the greatest instructor, Ingrid Pedersen. She was the first woman that landed on a glacier. Her name is in the Aviation Museum. So a good client of mine referred me to her when I said I wanted to start flying. And we took off, and immediately she stalls the plane. I didn't know what she was doing, but she lifts the nose and the stall siren. And I'm just scared to death. And she drops the nose. Boom! The plane wants to fly, Lottie. So, and then off we went. And after that, every time we went up, I had to stall the plane, and then boom, off we'd go. So yeah, I soloed. In Birchwood. It was incredible.
Yeah. You didn't fly across the inlet?
Oh yeah. I flew across the inlet. She wanted me to practice after I soloed, always by myself and away from everyone. And I think it was because if I didn't do well and I crashed to the ground, I wouldn't take anyone else out with me. But she didn't say that.
Well, you know, the interesting thing about Alaska, it's such a large area, and we're going to talk about that in another podcast, but there are a lot of private airstrips.
Yeah.
And they add to the value of a residential property.
Right.
So how did you end up here? Well, I had this boyfriend, and he wanted to go to Alaska, and I always just thought I would end up in Hawaii because of my last name, Yoshimura. But anyway, we came up the Alcan over 40 years ago. I cried all the way. The only food that was available, it seemed like it was Chinese food and oatmeal cookies, and I ate a lot of them. And I just wanted to know if big planes landed up here because I was going to go back to California, which is where I'd emigrated from the University of Iowa. So I was a hippie. I just wanted to make enough money so that I could quit work and write poetry. And I found another love, which is real estate, because it's also a very, very creative process. What I can say about real estate is it's never boring. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Every property is different. Every buyer and seller is different. And what I do like as a storyteller is I like to go to an open house, and I'm very curious about what brought a person to the open house on a Sunday afternoon when there's a football game on, and they came to look at a house. And they always have a very interesting story to tell. They're either here looking for a home for their family because they've just gotten a job in the oil field up in Prudhoe Bay, or they've been transferred in with the military, or they're just looking to upgrade to a newer home, because our average age of a home in Anchorage right now is over 42 years old. So they are maybe thinking about new construction or an upgrade, or they could be an aging baby boomer and they're thinking about downsizing. But they always had an interesting story. And that really is what I like to hear. And I like your story, and where you had spent the rest of your life, except for your stint in San Francisco with Grubb and Ellis, here in Alaska.
Yep. Yeah. So Alaska affords a wonderful way of life.
It's a terrific opportunity if you want to take advantage of it.
Right. And I think real estate is the vehicle to build wealth on. Wealth for you, wealth for your family. And it's challenging, and you don't need to start with a lot to end up with a lot. Strong work ethic is, I think, mandatory, but that's about it.
I would agree that housing ladder, and of course, right now, what the mayor is saying, our new mayor is saying we need 10,000 housing units in the next 10 years. So that's 1,000 per year. I don't think we're going to meet that goal, but that's going to give us a lot to talk about.
That's Anchorage, but that's happening all over the country, but specifically in Alaska. It's happening, yes, in the small communities outside of the rail belt, and it's happening in the valley, certainly.
And in all the major metropolitan areas. Yeah. There is a shift in wealth that is occurring, and yet everyone has a desire for home ownership.
What's the shift? Well, I don't understand shift in wealth.
Well, we have a lot more millionaires and billionaires, and yet at the bottom of the housing ladder, it's very difficult for people to find savings, to have savings in order to be able to make that first purchase. That's why VA loans with 000 down is really very important, and the FHA loans as well. So, but as we know here in Alaska, it's very expensive to build a home. There are 6,000 pieces to a single family home, and we manufacture nothing in the state of Alaska. So everything has to come by barge or truck or airplane, and transportation is one of the most expensive components for any commercial building or retail or residential structure. So we're going to talk about that in the future podcasts. For example, our airport, our Ted Stevens International Airport, where does everyone think that it ranks as far as the cargo is concerned?
Oh, yeah.
We're second in the United States as far as who would have ever thought that Anchorage, Alaska, in that international airport would be second to Memphis, which is the headquarters of FedEx. So that's just an example, I think, of how things had changed for us. And we are more of a destination, and we're also a stopover. We are geographically desirable as far as the international world is concerned now. Although we used to say that we were, as young people, geographically undesirable because nobody wanted to marry us and live in Alaska. But that's all changed now because we don't have sales tax in Anchorage. We also, in Alaska, we don't have state income tax. So we have a lot of economic advantages that we're going to talk about. And I'm sure you see that in commercial as well.
Right. All of those expenses drop to the bottom line. So, yep. What we see in the commercial, and it depends on what segment of that market we're talking about, whether it's retail or whether it's medical or whether it's industrial. Different things are important to different aspects of real estate.
Is the medical field, because of the amount of plumbing and electricity and all that sort of thing that they have to have, say, in a space, is more expensive on a price per square foot basis than, say, a clothing store, for example?
Oh, yeah. You've got excessive plumbing, excessive HVAC, excessive electrical, all of that. So, yeah, it's more expensive to build out. And therefore, it demands a higher lease rate or rate of return if you're purchasing it. And we may or may not be at capacity for medical at this time in the greater Anchorage and Fairbanks market.
What about in the valley?
The valley, because it's growing so quickly, because the population is growing so quickly, there's still room for pretty much everything in the Matson Valley. So I don't see a slowdown there.
Well, I know in residential, it has more housing starts than any other area in the state of Alaska. At probably collectively, they have more starts than all of the rest of Alaska.
Yeah. So every house has, maybe 2 adults and 2 or 3 children, and they all have to go to the doctor, and they all have to go get a pair of shoes, and they all have to have their hair done. So all of those services, all of that has to come back now to Wasilla or Palmer, the valley. They don't drive to Anchorage anymore.
Well, I think although there are still 52,000 cars that go back and forth, vehicles that go back and forth every day, because Anchorage is still a big employment center. But we're going to take a long look at the Met Valley in another podcast. And we're also going to look at the state of Alaska because we have so much land. But the question really is who owns the land? And we're going to answer that question in our next podcast. Okay, so what do you hope? We've talked about this concept for years.
Mm-hmm.
We finally are doing something with that idea.
Are you talking about the podcast that we're doing?
Yes. Sorry, we're talking about it, and we're in the middle of doing it now.
Right.
So where do you see this? Why are we doing it? And what do we hope to gain from this?
Well, I think we're doing it because, at least for me, and I think for you, we've reached a period of time in our career where we're not afraid to share information because we have a large collection in our head of information to help share and stabilize our real estate market. Our real estate market, whether it's commercial or residential, is in a tremendous amount of change thanks to AI and technology. And so I think it's important that we be able to tell our story and share the information that we've learned. And then, of course, we're still in business. And so we're Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Alaska Realty. We have the entire great state. And we would like, I know you're looking for a couple of commercial people to join and share in your business, and I am also. So if you're interested, we would love to talk to you because we're at this period of time when I think honesty, integrity, financial stability, trustworthiness is so very, very important when you're beginning to establish a career in real estate. I agree with that. Thank you, Lottie.